Hello there, fellow NPCs. I am Carmen Scythe, and today we're getting back into Seeds of Chaos. But before that, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. As I am recording this, it's just less than a week before Christmas, and when this is being put up, it's going to be on Christmas Day. Last year I decided to take a break. I don't feel that rushed this year around, even though I am going to 3 different Christmas parties. But no, I'm still not feeling all that pressured like last year. So yeah, we're still going strong. And with going strong, I mean we just had some fun with a goddamn Minotaur, did we not? And that was one hell of a trip. We are trying to comfort Greyhide into having him accept that what we did is not wrong. He's not hurting his friends, and it's not a crime against nature and shit like that. So yeah, we will see how that goes. If I remember correctly, we have only one more event to do here, which is the cake event. Other than that, I believe we can continue to explore. And yeah, with that said, let's go. I'm just gonna double check that I'm correct on that, however. That should be over quickly. And your research is halfway through. And don't have enough treasure to build a hall. Oh yeah, no, I did not want to do that because I want to support the other leader. Don't have any prisoners. Don't have anything of interest. Army score. Yeah, so it's just a cake event over here. Show event, the cake. Castle Bloodmead is full of surprises, but when Rowan came upon a note written on the corridor outside his room, the peculiar wording felt very surprising to the warrior. There is delicious cake in the kitchen. First come, first serve, the note said, unsigned. The ridiculousness of the offer made him think of Ysera. The crude handwriting ruled the demoness out. Upon further examination of his surroundings, Rowan's brown eyes noticed scrape marks on the stone floor in front of the note. It was obvious to the one-time scout that someone short had used a chair to get up to the right height, allowing them to mount a curious imitation. Somehow, I doubt Skordred cooks cake. This left only one person, or rather group, on the suspect list. Knowing better than to let what would be a rare opportunity slipping by, I wasted no time heading out. Entering the kitchen, Rowan found himself proven right. 2 goblins stood on a wooden table, with one coated in flour. Clamin the younger let out a startled peep, Clamin, and then hopped off the table to hide and clean herself up. Her mother, Clamin, gave Rowan a big wide grin. Oh, it's Clamin and Clamin. Okay. Can't tell who's who though. Yeah, exactly. I do remember her having some sort of tattoo. Hello, Rowan. Fancy the cut of cake, did you? Well, it's ready and waiting. Care to join me? What? Oh, I would, but it's just too sweet for my tongue. Alright. What did they put in the cake? Rowan studied the cake and then settled into a chair in front of it. It was a double-layered catastrophe, already starting to perilously lean to one side. I'm thinking of the cake in that fairy godmothers in... oh man, I don't remember the English name for her. Törnrosa. Sleeping Beauty. The younger goblin woman appeared beside him, having quickly scrubbed her face clean, with a delighted smile. Clamini, I like that Clamini, reached her green hands up, giving Rowan a fork and a plate. It was all Min's idea, actually. Be a dare and try it out. I know humans always love a good cake. Clamin walked across the table to get closer to Rowan. He noticed the shiny new earrings on the goblin woman's knife-like ears. Not May portrayed in the image, however. That's unfortunate. He is dressed to the nines today. The matriarch of her clan braced her fingers together in front of his eyes. With a cake between them, Clamine reached her hands up, slowly opening them as she spoke. Imagine it, Clamine's Cake Emporium, or Cakes by Clamine, the sweetest goblin you'll ever know. Rowan sliced off a piece of the cake and then placed it on his plate. I don't know about sweetest, but no one can ever say you're not always looking for a new deal. What a funny coincidence. As a matter of fact, I actually have a perfect new deal in need of a brave and handsome partner like yourself. The cake froze midway to his lips. He knew it. This was all leading into something. Eat the cake, but radiate disapproval. You lied to me with cake. Oh, enough with the sour-grape face, Rowan. Consider the cake as, well, the icing on the cake for a wonderful opportunity your favorite goblin has brought you. You're lucky it tastes good. Hearing that, Clamine let out an excited and gleeful cheer and thanked him for his kind words. I mean, Clamine is really cute here. But goblins are, what's the word? They like to fuck around, let's put it like that. Luck had nothing to do with it. Now, can we get down to business? A little rat brought me a juicy treat recently. It piqued my interest. After doing some digging on my own, I, Clamine, know the location of a magical relic. We're talking Ancient Relic 2, not your granddad's lucky socks. Alright. Rowan put down the fork and leaned his head to the side, studying the devilishly mischievous goblin woman. How'd you hear about this relic? And what is it supposed to do? I won't bore you with the full story, though no bribes, dice, and busted barmaids were involved. As to what it does, it's not exactly clear. It's said to date several hundred years and has been in possession of, wait for it, Karnas himself at one point, and was supposedly granted his officers as a sign of a favor. Of unknown powers then, possibly cursed or corrupted, if not both. I'm sure the twins would love to know of it. Ah, but here's the catch. Rowan raised his fingers, making the goblin and matriarch pause. He finished the last piece of cake, then wiped his mouth and turned to the younger of the two. It really was delicious. Excellent job, Minnie. Thank you. Beaming with joy, Clamine moved to clean the plates up. Rowan turned to Clamine again and motioned for her to continue. Yes, the twin do pay a finder's fee, but we both know they prefer gifts to gossip, especially Lady Ysera. I think she likes both. Alright, bad example, but the point stands. If I whisper that juicy piece of info into our mistress' keen ear, I can expect at best a meager reward. But if we team up and find the relic ourselves, we would both earn her favor. Indeed. I propose we split it 50-50, Rowan. My resources and information, your expertise and leadership. What do you say? Rowan tapped the table, thinking. If the relic really did belong to Karnas at some point, then finding it really could lead to a nice reward. And if it proved to be too evil or valuable to deliver to the twins, then perhaps he could conveniently lose it, or convince Clamine to deliver it to someone else. Or maybe use it himself. Is the relic located in Rosaria? Clamine shook her head, but did so with a smile. She leaned in and lowered her voice. I don't know the details of the great game you're playing with the twins, but don't worry. I won't ask you to reveal your hand. Luckily for us both, I've been dealing with the twins for a while now, and Ysera owes me more than she'd like. Oh, that's nasty. How the hell did you get the upper hand against Ysera in any kind of manner? I can think of no better way to cash in that favor than for some quality time with the Grand Trickster himself. Alright, that's me. Wasn't the whole point of this hunt to gain her favor? You have to spend money to earn money. Come on, Rowan, that's what business is all about. He let out a sigh. He had a gnawing suspicion the whole ordeal wasn't as straightforward as Clamine painted it. It was almost a guarantee. Even the cake had a catch. But with some annoyance, he realized it mattered little. He had precious few opportunities to act outside of the twins' jurisdiction. He couldn't refuse this one, even if it came with a catch. Alright, I'm in. Tell me the details. Clamine jumped up with excitement, causing her bosom to jiggle in front of his eyes. She started to hastily explain everything to him, and after half an hour, Rowan was already putting a plan together. Okay, so nothing for now. Interesting. I guess we will be exploring them. And let's see, yes, I wanted to reach a level 2 so that I can fix this shit up here and then raid Castle Reeves Keep. So let's go for Stroll. Save some... here's the gate. 2... Is it a gate? No, it's a village. Still good enough to look for. Now let's see here. Was I smart here? It costs 2 to go through here and 1, so 3 in total. And here it was 0.25, 0.25 again, I guess, and 1, so 2. I saved 1 movement. Okay. Bountiful village. Haha, more. Okay. For once, luck was on their side. The orc settlement Rowan discovered was not only larger than most, but also led to a conniving young chief who had exploited the camp favorable location to raid Rosarian caravans for years. Upon Andra's arrival, they weren't greedy with arrows, nor were they led to some primitive tent and served dirty water flushed down with a half-cooked lamb shank. Instead, expensive wine was rolled out in their honor, served with skimpily clad females bearing fake smiles and empty eyes. Slaves, no doubt. Come on, Rowan, the brunette. Come on, Rowan, the brunette or the blonde. Andra slapped the blonde on the ass, then grinned at the fallen hero, raising a golden cup. Brunette or blonde? A brunette with the big tits, the blonde with a fat ass, a redhead as always. You have no taste for broken women. Men, always. No. Let's... I'm not saying we should be, but I'm also not so keen on telling no to his face, you know. The one with the massive jugs. And I don't mean the ale. Excellent choice. Regardless of his thoughts on the slains, this was no time for him to indulge himself anyway. The party continued and Rowan drank sparingly, not wishing to drop his guard among men who were still unknown to him. Besides, he learned to keep a sober head, especially when Andras was involved. Ha 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 ha! Right on time. The towering demon punched yet another orc, knocking the fighter down. He raised his hands high, snaring at the crowd of orcs warriors that encircled him. Was this your champion? Ha! I've seen goblins hit harder than that. I can't find the voice for him. Oh. Rowan heard an orc growl. He looked to the side and saw the camp scouting war chief. Unlike most orcs in this position, this one wore no armor, but a silk deep-cut shirt revealed his slender chest. He had few muscles to speak of, and he didn't see fit to hide the fact. The war chief obviously prided himself with his cunning, not his strength. Such men weren't much to Andra's liking. The demon might have overlooked it. Had the orc known better and kept his head down, he wasn't nearly clever enough. I completely butchered that line. Annoying party, it's time we discuss our share of the spoils, and I expect some of it to be paid up front. We will not work on empty promises, my lord. Are we throwing each other around? He saw the murderous glint in Andra's eyes. The orc chieftain was moments away from losing a vital organ, probably several. We will discuss it as soon as we decide how much your camp is worth. Now do excuse us. He turned to the demon and realized they bought him less time than he had hoped. Look at them, Rowan. Weak and arrogant, spoiled by their own victories. They've grown fat, complacent, disgraceful, all of them. I'll sooner call this old camp before I ever let them set foot in Castle Bloodmean. Rowan held his tongue. Andras wasn't entirely wrong, but at the same time these men weren't any worse than their usual recruits. A few months of proper discipline would turn them into hardened soldiers. But did he really care about stopping Andras here? If he played his cards right, he could kill two birds with one stone, gain the demon's favor, and weaken the twins' army. Then again, perhaps that would be short-sighted on his part. Stay Andras' hand to help Andras cull the camp. Oh, okay, I'm stupid. I don't know what cull means. Cull is collect, I believe? I believe you're looking at this wrong, Lord Andras. Stay your hand here. If we show them the true meaning of demonic discipline at Castle Bloodmean, it will be a lesson for our men as well. And they will think twice before sitting on their asses like these morons did. Ha! I'll let that foolish warchief walk to his own doom. Make sure his tribe joins us. I'll start making preparations. Knowing Andras, some other indignity would distract him soon enough, and he'd forget about the whole ordeal. Otherwise, Rome would soon have yet another warchief who needed to be cleaned off the Bloodsmean floor. But maybe only him. Still, that left him with the task of negotiating with the orc warchief. The man named a high price, and wouldn't budge regardless of Rowan's arguments. In the end, he agreed to it, knowing it would be worth it in the long run. Okay, so that was kind of boring. There we go. We're not going to the farm because that's always stupid. So far at least, but what about this place up here? Oh, it's an abandoned mine, I think. What do we have here? Show me. Deep in her mines? Okay. Rowan cut through the bramble, overtaking an old dirt path, and thorny branches fell to the wayside. As the zone dipped low beneath the trees and crash out thunder sounded nearby, he knew his options for places to rest had become limited. A large abandoned mine loomed through the darkness. It was not an ideal choice, considering how dangerous it could be to explore at night, but the oncoming storm left him little choice. Rowan ducked into the constructed cavern and lit a torch, its soft glow barely illuminating the space. He raised his torch up to get a better look, while the mine stretched onwards, the tracks of old minecars disappearing into pitch blackness. He followed the tracks into the mine, each step echoing through the cave. It felt as if the mine stretched on for miles. How far did this thing go? As he took another step forward, the earth shifted underneath his foot, and Rowan found himself falling into the darkness. Whoa! He plummeted through the darkness, panic surging through his body as he wondered how deep this hole might be and if this mine may be the last place he has ever seen, before he landed on hard, stiff ground. Oh. There was a brief flash of light as his torch tumbled after him. The light extinguished as if it fell against the floor. It took a few minutes for his eyes to adjust. Rowan sat up cautiously, wincing at his backside throbbing in pain. He felt around the walls of the mine, searching for a ladder or some device that could pull him back up. Nothing. Shit! This wasn't good. There was only so much food and water in his pack to last him a few days, but who knew how long he would be trapped in this cave? He might just have to message back to the twins and hope they could send rescue. What are you doing here? Rowan spun at the sound of a feminine voice behind him, unsheathing his sword at his side. He could barely make out her figure in the darkness, but he could hear her footsteps shuffling the dirt, stopping just in front of him. I thought this mine was abandoned. Well, it clearly isn't. I ask you that you leave at once and do not bother me or my home again. Home? Home? Rowan looked around the pitch-black cave skeptically. Ask for help? Right. That's sort of impossible considering I can barely see my hand in front of my face. Would you mind helping me get out of here? The woman cocked her head to the side, her figure becoming more visible as Rowan's eyes continued to adjust to the darkness. She had a curvaceous figure with a high slit dress that swished as she circled him. You would ask for my help? You're the one who invaded my home. She stopped in front of him, and although he had trouble seeing her, Rowan could feel her gaze trailing up and down his body. But I suppose you could convince me to help you. What do you say? Rowan tensed up as she ran a hand down his chest. Suffice to say, there was little ambiguity in the form of persuasion she desired. I mean, if I have to. Also, she has the upper hand right now. She can see in here clearly. How ugly is she, though? It's not as if he had another chance of getting out on his own in the middle of the night. If this is what she required for him to avoid getting trapped in this mine, Rowan would just have to pay the price. Alright, if that's what it... Rowan was cut off as he suddenly was pushed down to his knees, two strong hands grasping his shoulders. He didn't expect her to be this strong. She leaned in close, her nails lightly caressing his throat. Valeris. Perfect. You can call me Valeris, but I might prefer hearing you call me my lady instead. She waited expectantly for his response. Yes, my lady. Good. Now strip. Rowan did as told, removing his various belts and fabrics until it was bare before her. He heard her continue to circle him, her nails occasionally caressing his scalp and shoulders. You keep on saying circling him. I think it's some sort of naga, a snake person. You'll do anything to get out of this mine, won't you? Any little thing I want. She sounded delighted by the fact. He heard fabric shift, following by the collapse of her dress onto the ground. Yes, my lady. The mystery of it came with a certain thrill. He had no idea what this woman really looked like or who she was. He just knew that she wanted him to obey. Something hard, a shoe, pressed against his forehead and shoved him down. Okay. Rowan gasped as he landed hard on his back. His hardened as he felt Valeris crawl over him, her leg coming to rest against his erection. Okay. I will be seeing you guys real soon. It's not a naga if it has legs. And yeah, real soon. Well, it was a pretty little elf. Not so little, I guess, but still a pretty elf who's been living down here in the cave, it seems. And after all that was finished, Rowan said he wanted to know more about her. We're about to see how that all goes out. But if you want to see what happened during that scene, you need to go over to SpicyGaming.net and see for yourself. And now, let's continue. A hanging lantern on the wall suddenly flickered on, revealing a modest woman with long white hair and pointed ears. You're an elf. Half-elf. Don't try to flatter me. Valerie shook the match in her hand, allowing it to diminish to nothing. Come along, unless you want to wait until daylight. Valeris turned toward another dark tunnel, unlatching the lantern from the ceiling to help guide her way. Wait a second. Who are you? She gave out a sigh of frustration and glared back at him, uninterested in delving into more conversation about herself. Isn't my name enough? Will that not satisfy you? No, not quite. I think it's at least a little important to know whose home I'm invading. And why is that so important? You don't plan to come back, so... She stopped herself, eyes narrowing in suspicion as she regarded her intruder. You plan to take this mine? There was no use in lying, especially when he'd be back with workers to prove it. Rowan nodded. Now Ria's giving me a reason not to show you the way out. If you don't show me, I'll just figure it out myself when daylight comes. I'll be back here regardless. Valeris bit her lip, and he could almost see her inwardly cursing herself for offering him any hope for assistance in the first place. This is all I have. I'm not about to treat a threat to that kindly. Valeris sighed and touched one of the mine's walls. Her fingertips seemed to search for lost memories. It's not common to walk into an abandoned mine and discover it occupied. Surely there is more to this story. Valeris got a glare in his direction but softened when she looked back at the walls of her mine. She sighed deeply. I didn't have a choice. I used to make a proper living, you know. I was a blacksmith in my village. I loved working with metals. Until our village was sacked and I was carted around between brothels. Some people chose that line of work, but I wasn't one of them. I managed to escape a few months ago, but I know they're still looking for me. These mines are the closest I have to a home now. I ask that you don't take that away. She looked at Rowan with strength and sadness in her eyes. There was no way Rowan could simply let her stay here, but another, better idea came to him as he tried to think of possible solutions. Could she work with Greyhide? I'm sorry to hear that happened to you, Valeris. No one should have to suffer in that way. But how about I offer you another solution that could benefit the both of us? Valeris crossed her arms tightly over her chest and eyed him up with suspicion. And that is? I have to take this mine one way or another, but what if you ran the mine in my stead? You could become the mine's manager. It would be a paid position, and you could have the freedom of staying here as long as you would like. Aye, that failed. Yeah, see, this is why I want to up my diplomacy. Valeris sneered at him. Any connection made among them was tossed to the side. Absolutely not. Why should I work for you when you're here to take the mines away from me? You cannot just come in and claim something because you want it. You are no better than the slave traders I was sold to. Valeris spat at his feet. I showed the way only because I'm a woman of my word, but I dare you to come back and take this mine from me. I will not make it easy. Valeris snatched a lantern and sped up down the tunnel. Rowan stumbled after her, struggling to keep up. Once they reached the entrance to the mines, Valeris put out her lantern and walked back into the darkness without so much as a goodbye, leaving Rowan alone in the darkness. Rowan could not tell her that he was duty bound to bring back a detachment of orcs as soon as he left. What they would do to an interloper would not be pleasant. He looked up at the night sky miserably as he stepped out and began to set up camp. Well, at least it had stopped raining. That's unfortunate for her, and for us. How much does it cost to move here? 1 point. And half a point. Can't really see anything out there in the forest. Oh! And a week 15 Greyhide finale, Polly. Oh, we're done with Greyhide here. Interesting. But that will be it for today's episode. We didn't really get to do all that much. I was expecting a bit more action to happen, but at least we finished week 15. And we are in the next episode going to see what's happening with Greyhide here with our little situation. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you Joseph for donating directly to my Ko-fi page. If you guys want to help me out, you can do so by clicking the link down in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one, and remember, just because you're not the main character, does not mean you're not important. Goodbye everyone.